Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football, going down to the Bayou to talk about the Bayou Bengals, LSU country with Alex Hickey. You can catch his work at SEC Country. Alex, how you doing tonight?
I'm pretty good. It's opening day of baseball season. It's always a nice day to be alive.
No question about that. So I got a bunch of college football records, and then I catch Indians Mariners late at 10 o'clock Eastern time. So that's my night. It's all carved away for me. Good stuff. LSU, one of the marquee programs in the country, but lacking that quarterback. We talk about it all the time. So we've got a three-way battle. Most people would consider it a two-way battle, but I know that other people consider it a dead heat at this point. Your thoughts about the starting spot at quarterback?
I think Miles Brennan is clearly still the favorite. He's the one who has the most experience, albeit parts of 2 games last year. So it's not a multitude of college experience for Miles Brennan, who will be a sophomore this year. But that's definitely the guy who they are, I think, counting on to win the battle, but they're not giving it to him. And he's definitely getting a challenge. I knew that Lowell Narcisse all along would be capable of going head-to-head with Brennan. The more surprising name has been Justin McMillan. I don't think anyone expected him to be part of the competition in a realistic kind of way. But right now, and granted, it's been very early in the spring, but McMillan's definitely been the number 2 guy in those first couple of weeks of spring practice, and at times the number 1.
We're going to SEC Country, literally, to talk LSU football with Alex Hickey. Join him right there for the very best in LSU football coverage. Of course, subscribe to my YouTube channel where we talk college football coast to coast. The audio versions you can find on Google Play, Podbean, Stitcher, and iTunes. So that's the quarterback situation. Obviously, he's going to be greatly affected by the offensive play calling and really the concepts out there. Matt Canada, we expected to make a huge difference. That didn't work out. Your thoughts about Steve Ensminger? And, of course, he's a familiar face and a familiar approach to the game. But your thoughts about him taking over and what we could see that might be a little bit different?
Yeah, it's hard to know what is going to happen with Steve Ensminger because he hasn't done this essentially full-time in a couple of decades. He's had a couple of seasons where he's sort of filled in mid-season and called some plays, the last one being 2016. And the LSU offense really did take off when they got rid of Les Miles and Cam Cameron. Outside of that game against Alabama, obviously, which is the measuring stick here that anybody here cares about. But the offense set a multitude of records, especially in the running game. Of course, Leonard Fournette and Darius Geis in the same backfield, probably a big factor in those records being broken so easily. But they weren't breaking them with Cameron calling the plays. So certainly Ensminger has a pretty good feel for what his team's strengths are. And this year it's going to be wide receivers. Now, you have to have the quarterback who can get the ball to those guys, clearly. And that's what we're going to learn throughout the course of this spring. But I think Ensminger is a pretty savvy guy as far as knowing what can make his offense tick. And he's going to adapt to that. So for the first time in ages, you're going to see a pass-first LSU football team that uses the aerial game to set up the run.
Yeah, I know that Ed Ogeron has actually made the comment from time to time and thrown out the phrase 50-50. We want true balance on offense. LSU never void of talent there. We've seen the likes of DJ Chark, who showed up at the combine and really showed what a kind of freak athlete he is. Of course, Malachi Dupree in very recent years that didn't get the football as much as they wanted to because of the limitations in the passing game. Now you get this Texas Tech transfer, Justin Giles, who caught 13 touchdowns, which seems like every other wide receiver in the Big 12 catches 13 touchdowns, but still huge numbers at Texas Tech for him with 69 catches 2 years ago. And Justin Jefferson coming into the program. Your thoughts about the wide receiver position that we don't know a whole lot about?
Yeah, there's a lot of young, sort of unproven talent. As you mentioned, Jonathan Giles, he's the Texas Tech transfer. He's the most proven guy, but again, It was against Big 12 defenses, so we'll see how that translates into the SEC. But you've got a number of just big, lanky guys. Stephon Sullivan being one of these sort of 6'6", huge targets. Drake Davis is another one of those guys. D. Anderson. Those are three guys, basically the same guy. So any one of them is capable of stepping up and being a pretty serious downfield threat. Derek Dillon is a guy I really like as sort of an ideal third down type of target. I feel like practically all of his catches last season were on third down. So he's a pretty reliable possession type receiver. And then they've got these freshmen coming in, which is Terrace Marshall and Jamar Chase are the two headliners of that freshman class. And, these guys are pretty much the most touted group of incoming receivers that they have had since Jarvis Landry and Odell Beckham Jr.